Breaking news tonight on TrendWave.
Finna suffer, but I'm a suffer. Loose man, she a ding man, morphine away me. Where truth rise the wave. You never lost key, you never see she. Then I your face, we on to the place, skin away me. Catch the wave of truth. From the Caribbean to the world, this is TrendWave News TV.
Breaking news tonight on TrendWave. Breaking news tonight on TrendWave. Breaking news tonight on TrendWave. Breaking news tonight on TrendWave.
Good evening and welcome to TrendWave News TV. Tonight, from Kingston to Port of Spain, from Nassau to Bridgetown, the stories shaping our region and our world. I'm Alex Green, and this is 10 for 10, from the islands to the world. This week's top Caribbean stories. These are the headlines making waves across the Caribbean. From tropical storms and political shifts to energy deals, crime alerts, and bold moves toward regional unity. Let's dive in. First up, this week in the Caribbean, tropical storm. Melissa, the Caribbean braces for impact. We begin with the system dominating the region's radar. Tropical storm Melissa, churning through the Caribbean Sea and intensifying rapidly. Forecasters are warning of heavy rains, flash flooding, and strong winds across Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. Authorities across the region have activated national disaster protocols. In Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness called an emergency cabinet meeting, and parish councils are preparing for evacuations in flood-prone areas. In Haiti, shelters are filling fast as displaced families seek safety. And in the Dominican Republic, government teams are reinforcing riverbanks and issuing flash flood warnings. Meteorologists warn the storm could intensify to hurricane strength as it moves north, threatening regional air travel and tourism during what's already been a difficult hurricane season. From Kingston to Miami, this storm is a reminder that the Caribbean remains on the front line of climate change. As one Jamaican climate scientist told TrendWave News TV,
"We're not just weathering a storm, we're weathering an era of rising seas, stronger systems, and shrinking recovery time."
What to watch on this one? The path of the storm over the next 48 hours, regional cooperation through CDMA, and international aid commitments once Melissa passes. Headline number 2, Haiti under pressure. UN calls for elections and security action. Turning now to Haiti, where the United Nations Security Council is urging the country's transitional leadership to restore security and hold long-delayed elections. The UN extended its sanctions regime against armed groups and reinforced the international arms embargo. Gang violence continues to plague Port-au-Prince, and thousands remain displaced. The multinational support mission led by Kenya has begun preliminary deployments, but security experts say progress will depend on consistent funding and local cooperation. For the Caribbean diaspora, especially Haitian communities in Miami, Montreal, and New York, this story hits close to home. Families are watching with both hope and anxiety, praying that international support won't once again fade when the headlines do. What to watch on this one? Concrete steps toward credible elections, progress reports from the multinational force, and whether sanctions actually choke off the flow of illegal weapons. Also in Haiti. The health crisis in Haiti deepened this week as Doctors Without Borders, MSF, announced the closure of its emergency center in Tobago, one of Port-au-Prince's busiest trauma facilities. After months of gang attacks, kidnappings, and looting, the organization says it can no longer keep staff safe. With more than 1.4 million Haitians displaced and multiple hospitals shuttered, access to emergency care has nearly collapsed. International aid groups warn of rising cholera and dengue cases as storm season compounds the chaos. To understand the regional impact, we spoke with journalist Marie-Claire Demongle, a Haitian reporter now based in the Bahamas. In an interview with Marie-Claire Demongles, Caribbean journalist, she said,
"The loss of MSF's emergency center is devastating. People are dying from treatable injuries and infections. But the deeper tragedy is how normal this crisis has become. The world has stopped paying attention."
Her words cut deep, reminding us that the Caribbean's strength has always been its people's resilience. But resilience alone cannot replace resources. What to watch? Whether alternative clinics reopen, new NGO partnerships, and how diaspora organizations can sustain medical support when international attention shifts elsewhere. Number 4. Big story in the Caribbean this week is the CARICOM's Zone of Peace Declaration and Trinidad's reserved position. In regional politics, CARICOM leaders reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining the Caribbean as a zone of peace. The declaration follows heightened military activity in the region's waters linked to U.S. anti-narcotics operations near Venezuela. Most Caribbean nations backed the resolution, calling for diplomacy over defense buildups. However, Trinidad and Tobago formally reserved its position, saying it will continue to evaluate regional security priorities based on its national interests.
Analysts say this careful stance reflects the delicate balance Caribbean nations must strike between supporting global security partners and protecting sovereignty. As one Trinidadian policy expert told us, small states survive not by picking sides, but by staying steady in the storm.
What to watch? Follow-up communiques from CARICOM, national clarifications on defense policy, and reactions from Washington and Caracas as maritime patrols expand. Caribbean headline number 5, Freedom to Move. 4 nations launch, visa-free Caribbean zone, and now to a landmark for regional unity. Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have officially launched a visa and work permit free movement agreement under the CARICOM framework. This Freedom to Move deal allows citizens of these countries to live and work indefinitely across participating nations. A move some call the most significant CSME advancement in a decade. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley hailed it as a step toward what she called a Caribbean without walls. Economists say it could help address labor shortages and brain drain, especially in healthcare and hospitality. But challenges remain. From security screening to standardizing professional credentials across borders. Still, for young professionals and students across the region, this deal opens new horizons. It's more than a travel policy. It's a statement of identity. In a world that often defines us by size, the Caribbean continues to prove that unity is its greatest strength. What to watch for on this one? Implementation timelines, expansion to more CARICOM states, and the first wave of job and education exchanges under the new system. Coming up, Trinidad reignites energy talks with Venezuela, Jamaica steps up storm preparedness, and the Bahamas faces a troubling new crime wave. Plus, we hear from a Caribbean voice abroad about what these headlines mean for families across the diaspora. You're watching TrendWave News TV, 10 for 10, from the islands to the world. Stay with us. Please take a minute to subscribe to TrendWave News TV, your source to keep in touch with the world. Now let's continue our Caribbean 10 for 10, from the islands to the world, this week's top Caribbean stories. Headline number 6, Trinidad and Tobago revives the dragon gas deal with Venezuela. We continue our report with an energy headline that could redefine the Caribbean's economic future. The United States has given Trinidad and Tobago the green light to resume negotiations with Venezuela over the dragon gas field, a massive cross-border resource that's been idle for years due to sanctions. The Dragon project could supply Trinidad's LNG plants for decades, securing jobs and government revenue while reducing dependence on imports. But it's also a geopolitical balancing act. Washington's waiver allows limited engagement, but sanctions still restrict most transactions with Venezuela's state oil company, PDVSA. Trinidad's Energy Minister Stuart Young called the decision a victory for pragmatic diplomacy. But some opposition figures argue that the government risks tying the country's fortunes to an unstable neighbor. Energy experts across the region are watching closely, because if successful, the Dragon Gas project could become a blueprint for regional energy cooperation in an era of global volatility. What to watch? Terms of the final agreement, PDVSA compliance with sanctions, and potential spillover benefits for other Caribbean energy ventures. Caribbean headline number 7. Jamaica on high alert. Disaster teams activated for Storm Melissa. As Melissa's outer bands lash the Caribbean, Jamaica remains on high alert. Emergency shelters are open in Kingston, St. Thomas, and Portland, while power companies brace for outages and flooding. The Office of Disaster Preparedness has activated full national response mode, urging citizens to stock up on essentials and avoid low-lying areas. Flights are grounded, and ferry services have been suspended until further notice.
For many Jamaicans at home and abroad, these storms are no longer seasonal surprises. They're annual battles of endurance. Diaspora networks in Florida and New York have already begun coordinating relief support through church groups and hometown associations, showing once again that Caribbean unity extends far beyond our borders.
What to watch on this one? Damage assessments once the storm passes, continuity of remittance flows, and how quickly power and transport infrastructure can recover. Headline number 8, Bahamas on edge, rising crime prompts global warnings. A new wave of concern is hitting the tourism-dependent Bahamas as multiple nations, including Canada and the United States, have updated their travel advisories warning citizens about rising crime in Nassau and Freeport. The advisories cite increased robberies, assaults, and scams targeting tourists, as well as incidents of drink tampering in bars. Bahamas officials say they're stepping up patrols, adding security cameras, and launching new community policing initiatives. The tourism industry, which accounts for nearly 50% of the country's GDP, fears the perception of danger could hurt visitor arrivals during the crucial winter season. To better understand how Caribbean communities abroad view this, we spoke with Dr. Renee Clark, a Bahamian-American business consultant in New York.
For us in the diaspora, every headline about crime back home is personal. Tourism is our bread and butter. If visitors lose trust, it affects everyone, from the hotel worker in Nassau to the cousin sending money from Brooklyn.
Dr. Clark's words echo a broader truth, that safety and perception travel faster than storms. For the Caribbean, image and integrity remain as vital as our sunshine and sea. What to watch? The government's anti-crime plan rollout, tourism arrival figures for the next quarter, and regional security cooperation under the CARICOM framework. Caribbean headline number 9. Dominican Republic and Haiti resume talks over the border canal dispute. After months of rising tension, officials from the Dominican Republic and Haiti have resumed face-to-face talks to defuse the Massacre River Canal dispute, a long-running conflict over water rights and cross-border construction. The Dominican government insists the canal threatens its irrigation systems, while Haitian farmers say it's essential for survival amid drought. Recent technical meetings in Santo Domingo show cautious progress, with both sides agreeing to appoint joint hydrologists and border monitors. Trade at the Dajabon crossing remains limited, though small markets are slowly reopening. CARICOM leaders are calling for dialogue, stressing that food security and diplomacy must outweigh division. This dispute is more than a border issue. It's a test of Caribbean solidarity under pressure. And as climate stress grows, so will the need for cross-border cooperation over every drop of water. What to watch? The outcomes of the next Joint Commission meeting, potential role of CARICOM mediators, and effects on regional trade routes. Headline number 10. CARICOM in the U.S. Security talks amid growing tensions. And finally tonight, a story that's stirring quiet debate among Caribbean policymakers. CARICOM leaders met this week to discuss a U.S. request for expanded cooperation on regional security and anti-narcotics operations, particularly around Grenada and nearby waters. While most nations express support for intelligence sharing and training, Some warned against deepening military entanglement. Diplomats say the discussion reflects both opportunity and unease. As U.S. naval activity in the Caribbean grows, smaller nations want a seat at the table to ensure their sovereignty is respected.
The Caribbean must never become the chessboard where big powers play their games.
What to watch? Whether CARICOM drafts new defense protocols, how Washington responds to the Zone of Peace declaration, and the evolving role of the Caribbean as both bridge and buffer in hemispheric politics. From the surging winds of Melissa to the quiet diplomacy shaping tomorrow's Caribbean, these are the stories defining who we are: resilient, resourceful, and united in purpose. For those of you watching from the diaspora, from Toronto to Tampa, from London to Kingston, remember that every headline we cover connects back to you. Your remittances, your advocacy, and your love for home continue to sustain this region's heartbeat. If you found value in tonight's report, don't just watch, be part of the conversation. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Comment below where you're watching from. Your voice matters. I'm Alex Green, and this is TrendWave News TV. Stay safe, stay aware, and stay connected.
Suffer, but I'm a suffer. Loose man, she a ding man, morphine away me. Where truth rise the wave. You never lost key, you never see she. Then I have face we on the to the pace in a way.